There's a better way. Thank goodness. This is kind of my walking uphill both ways in the snow story for you, because this is how we've had to do things in the past. But thankfully, Python is an extensible language. And somebody somewhere said, man, that's too much work. And so they invented something called Pickle. Pickle, as in like the act of preserving something, right, allows us to store complex data. If I want to save any complex object, anything, all I have to do is these lines. So the first one, I import the Pickle module. The second one, I open a file. This is all familiar to you so far, with the exception of this. WB does not stand for Warner Brothers. It stands for write in binary. And what it means is we're going to write to that text file, but we're not going to use regular ASCII characters. We're going to use binary code, binary encoded data, which allows us to do something more complex than just what we've been doing so far. You don't need to know too much of the details about this. If you're a computer science person, you will get into the details of this, but not in this class. Pickle.dump does exactly what it says. It takes whatever that object is, whatever my data object is, and puts it in that file. That's it. So let's do that. So I'm going to import Pickle. And I'm going to say my file equals open. And I'm going to say pickle file. Let's say pickle file dot text. And we're going to write binary. And then we're going to put this data in that file. So I'm going to say pickle.dump, and we're going to put the object, li names, in the file. And then we're going to say my file dot close. Now we run that. No errors. And here's my pickle file. And I open it up, and there's my dictionary. And you might look at this and you might say, oh no, something's not right. That does not look like a dictionary. Remember, it's binary encoded data. You're not going to be able to read this with your eyeballs. That's the downside. That's the only downside to using Pickle, is that you can't open up the text file and see what's inside. So the only way to verify what was written into that text file is to just read it back and see what was there. But it does work. You don't want to go hand editing this, because the minute you start typing something in this, that file is corrupt. So don't change that file. But now I'm going to import, I'm going to get that file data, and I'm going to put it back into a new object. Okay, so we've got import pickle, we open the file, not running back, read binary. This must be binary. If you don't open it using WB, RB, whatever, it will give you an error. And then I just do pickle.load. It takes whatever's in pickle, puts it in this object. No questions asked. So I'm going to comment this out, or let's not delete it. I'll just comment it out. And I don't need this, and I don't need this, and I don't need this. So I still have my import pickle up here. I've commented out the other code. Let's open my file for reading. Okay. And that was pickle file.text. That's where I have my data. And read binary. And now li new equals pickle.load, and we're going to give it the file. That's the only parameter that it requires, because it goes, whatever we load from my file goes into this variable. And then I'm going to print li new. So I run that, and there's my data, just like it was supposed to be. Now it's actually in that list format with dictionaries nested inside it. So it doesn't matter how complex my data is, or how big my data is, or what object my data is. I can just save it straight into Pickle. And that's huge convenience. You saw what I had to go through just to read and write into a regular text file, converting that object into a string. It's a lot more work. So Pickle is nice. I really, really have appreciated access to Pickle over the years. It's saved me a ton of time. And by the way, a lot of potential errors, because when you're taking data and you're modifying an object, a complex object, into a set of strings, you got all kinds of possibilities of introducing errors. Keeping it simple often prevents you from having those.